What is it like being a Jamaican in French Guiana? Hi, I'm Xavier Murphy, the founder of Jamaicans.com. And today in Jamaicans to the World, I will be talking to Kenise Lawson, a Jamaican that's living there in French Guiana. Kenise, how are you?
I'm fine, Xavier. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm healthy, COVID free, and
Good.
well.
I love the headdress there. I love it.
I shouldn't
Man.
be giving you too many secrets, Xavier. Thank you, but you know when you haven't combed your hair, you just have to throw something on. Praise God for the ancestors who thought about these things. They come in
Well,
handy.
well, it looked good. It looked good.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
first
Representing.
question.
Go
First
ahead.
question. So, which part of Jamaica you come from?
Oh, la 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 la. This is a tricky question to answer. I was born in Montego Bay, but I grew up in Mandeville. So I'm a Montegonian and a Mandevillian. I don't even know if that exists.
I think it's the first I hear that one, but
Well, we can stick it somewhere in a dictionary somewhere.
you can't
Is
call
it
it
like
and
any?
get it right. So, which school you representing?
Chester, all the time. Chester, all the time. Manchester High School. I have no regrets. It was my first choice, and I'm so happy to be a product of that institution.
Great, great. So, tell me how you got to the French Guiana.
How much time we have? Well, the short version is I applied to be an assistant. Well, there's a language assistantship program where students from all over the world are asked to teach their first language in French speaking countries. Usually, Jamaicans are sent to France. So I applied for the program. I was unsuccessful. And at the very last minute, they called me. I remember the day just like it was yesterday. They called me and they said, we have one spot available. But it won't be for France. It will be for a little place called French Guiana. Are you still interested? And I was like, hell yeah. And so here I am. I did the program twice. So the second time I applied and they accepted, and things just happened. It was just one thing after the other. A colleague who went on maternity leave, she asked me to replace her. And then shortly after I was employed, and today I'm still here.
How many years?
Since 2015. Since 2015. I first came here in 2015, and I was talking to somebody yesterday. And to me, it feels just like yesterday. It feels like yesterday, but happened
So,
many moons ago.
so did you know where? Because I'm going to be honest with you. We hear about Guyana all
Mhm,
the time.
mhm.
Um, Barely hear about French Guyana.
To be very honest with you, I had never heard of French Guiana. When she said French Guiana, I was like, yes. In my head, I was like, where? And I think everybody else around me thought it was in Africa. And people were like, but it's in Africa. Don't come back with this. And I was like, no, something is off. And I did my research, and that's when I discovered that it's in South America. It's nestled between Suriname and Brazil. So Brazil to the east, Suriname to the west, very close to the equator. Uh, it's a melting pot, and I'm happy. I have no regrets. I have no regrets.
So, if you're close to the equator,
Mhm.
what's the
You can
temperature like?
imagine the heat turn up. It is so hot and humid. It is extremely hot. I remember when I came here the first time, I thought I was going to die. And they sent me to this remote area of French Guiana called Grand Santi, which is it's a commune which is only accessible by boat or plane. So you can imagine, I just came here, at the time I was living in Kingston. So, I was a country girl turned city girl, now turned village girl. My mind was completely blown, and it was just hot, like sweltering heat. The sky would just be bright blue, not a cloud, nothing to shade you. It was, I have never experienced anything like it, never in my life. And you can imagine with heat comes mosquitoes, so it's a whole package.
So, so in terms of the people. What are the people like there?
Wow. I mentioned the term melting pot. We have a lot of immigrants. So you do have French Guyanese, people who were born here on this territory, in this territory. But then you have a lot of immigrants coming in. So we have a lot of Haitians. We have the indigenous peoples. They're still here. A lot of Amerindians. We do have among the community, so people from Laos who were given, a good space of land, and they have inhabited that space for a number of years. And they have integrated into the culture, into the community. You do have, I said, Haitians. You do have a lot of Peruvians. Recently, we've had a lot of Syrians. We have a lot of people from the Dominican Republic, from all over.
What?
A lot of Africans. When I say a melting pot, you know how our motto, or Jamaican motto, is out of many, one people. I think French Guiana could borrow out of many. They're not quite one, but out of many. And just like everywhere else in the world, you can imagine there's a huge Chinese community. So it is really a melting pot. That is the best word I can use to describe it. And so as a result, when I go to the supermarket, as a teacher in the classroom, walking in the hallway, I hear so many languages. There's no way you can live in French Guiana and only speak one language. So luckily for me, I speak English. French here is the first language, but I now have to learn. I didn't even mention the Brazilians. Oh my goodness. There is a huge Brazilian community. There's a huge Surinamese community. There's a huge Guyanese community. I forgot about them. So I'm hearing Guyanese patois. I'm hearing Suriname, but I'm hearing Dutch, and I'm hearing Dutch Creole, and I'm hearing traditional tribal tongues, because we have a lot of tribal communities. So the groups like the Juka people or the Aluku tribes, they're here. You have the Amerindian communities with their languages. You have the Brazilians. So I have to learn Portuguese. I had somebody who sent me a message in Portuguese, and I was there like, oh, the little that I knew, I was able to respond. So there's so many languages that you have to assimilate and try as best as possible to learn, so you can function and navigate things here. It's very interesting, very interesting. By the time I go back home, I think I'll probably speak 5 languages. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Well, so the dominant language is which one? Which is a
It's
dominant
French.
language? And do you know French?
Well, I have no choice. I have no choice. I'm a teacher, and one of the very first rules is that I have to master their language. Have I mastered it 100% or the way I would like to? Not exactly, but it's getting there, and I'm able to manage and function, and I'm able to fool some people. Back in the day, with my accent, people automatically knew I wasn't from French Guiana. But no, I don't get that question as much. When I tell people I'm from Jamaica, but how come I didn't hear an accent? Or, but your French is good. I'm like, yeah, girl. It took a while to get there, though, because it was rough at first. It was very rough. But since we're on the topic of languages, I'll give you a little anecdote. I had a car problem recently, and the mechanic who came, he's Haitian. And he was speaking to me only in Creole, and I could not understand. I think I kept on saying to him, I don't understand. But he insisted. And let's just say at the end of our communication, he went his way, I went my way, and nobody understood the other. Not one of us. And I called somebody, the person who recommended me, and I said, look here, the next time you send a mechanic who speaks Creole, please, you need to come. I need a translator. I cannot deal. So now I know I have to learn Haitian Creole. And there's a difference, because there's French Guyanese Creole and there's Haitian Creole. And we have a lot of Haitian students. And so you can imagine sometimes they're probably saying things and I'm pretending as though I understand. I don't understand a thing.
Let's hope they don't see this video.
You know what? Even if they do, many of them would not understand a lick of it. So it works out fine. I'll use it as motivation. If you want to understand what I was saying about you, you need to study your English lesson.
So with all these languages, is there, I think you mentioned there is I hate the term Creole sometimes, because they call Jamaican patois Creole, but it's actually the Jamaican language. Is there a language that is kind of there for the people that were originally
Of
Um,
course. Of course, and it's held to a higher standard and a higher level of respect compared to our Jamaican patois. In that it is taught in schools. This is actually a subject you can do at the exam level, just as we would for A levels or CXC. There is an exam in Creole. And it's very interesting to see how my colleagues, try to plan their lessons, do their lesson plans. It is actually something that is taught. There is a standard. I do know at some time or another we were trying the same thing, and then the Patois Bible book was released. But I know in Jamaica is going to take a whole mental change. People will have to learn how to adapt to it. I'm not sure the Jamaican community or the Jamaican population is quite ready for that yet here. But here in French Guiana, it's really respected, highly regarded, and it's taught. It's taught in schools.
I see. I think maybe we need to look at that example as we go further down that route. Probably the example we need to look at. I'm going to go ahead.
The issue comes with trying to standardize it and how well people will receive, that aspect of it. I think we have gotten so accustomed to Miss Lou's way of writing. When I saw the Patois Bible, I was shocked at first. I was like, huh? What is this? So luckily, I had an idea of how phonetics worked, and I was able to, navigate my way through the book. But it was very difficult at first, and I can't imagine the shock that other people went through when they saw it. At first glance, it was a bit challenging, and so we have to get to the point where we're willing to standardize it, and people have to accept it, have to adapt it.
Yeah, it's going to take a generation or two.
Generation. I think we're probably getting on to 3. 2 or 3.
So I'm going to switch up things a little bit and talk about food. So, what is the food? Well, let me not ask what's the food like. Well, let me say this. What is, if I was to come there, what would be the 2 things you say you're going to have to try them 2 things here?
I can only give you 2. Good God.
You can give me more. Give me more if you want. Give me more.
All right. You can imagine with a melting pot. No food that come out of the melting pot. You can imagine. Good. So this pot have whole heap of food because there's so many different cultures. You have the Chinese community, they have their dishes. You have the Hmong community, they have their dishes. The Haitian community, they have their thing. The Brazilian community, they have their thing. So every community comes with, of course, their dishes. And they bring everything to the table. It's a big table, it's a big potluck. You can imagine. But if I had to recommend something, first of all, the challenge for me is that I'm vegetarian. So there are so many things here that I cannot get to enjoy. But based on experience and observation, I'd have to recommend bouillon d'awara. So this is a dish that's usually eaten during Easter. The main ingredient is a fruit from the palm tree called awara. And it's a dish that has a lot of meats in it. So you have like their version of jerk chicken, which is called poulet boucané. You have, I think, is there a fish in there? There's like pig's tail, cow foot. Everything is in there. Everything is in there. And imagine you have this fruit that is the main ingredient holding it together. I don't know if I want to eat it, but I've heard it's good. And the legend is that if you eat it and you like it, then you're definitely going to come back to French Guiana. I didn't eat it, but I'm back. So I don't know how that works. If I'd pick a favorite, I love banan peze, which is from the Haitian community, which is basically pressed plantains and like a coleslaw, which is what they call pickles, and it's usually served with pork. Is it pork or beef? I'm not quite sure, but I only have the coleslaw and the pressed plantains. And then from the Brazilian community, good God, there's so many things. You just have to come. You have to come. You have colombo, which is their version of curried chicken, which also has a lot of different ingredients in there. But there are other things that I enjoy being vegetarian. So because they eat a lot of fruits from the palm tree, acai, for example, was considered or is still considered a superfruit. Here we get it dirt cheap, whereas in the States it's very expensive. I pay €6, I get a liter of it, and I can have it for breakfast with my cereal. So that's something I really love. There's also a fruit called paripou, which is again from the palm tree, another fruit from the palm tree. I love it. It's you have it salted, it's boiled in water, and it's salted, and it's just really oof. It's almost like having, I don't know how to describe it. You just have to come. You have to come. You have to come and eat it and taste everything. Taste and see.
It
Yes.
sounds like a foodie will have a ball there.
Definitely. With the different communities that exist, you are sure to have a very good tasting, a nice taste test. You know, it gives you a good idea of what's going on here in South America, and you get a little taste of what's going on in other continents. Because I think probably every continent is represented here in some way or another.
So let me ask you this: you don't miss any of your? Are you getting your Jamaican food there, or is there anything that in particularly that you miss and you don't get there?
Everything, everything, Xavier. There's nothing here. Well, no, I lie. No, recently I discovered Aki's here. Somebody called me and said, there's a tree that looks a lot like the Aqui tree. Can you come and check it out? This was like 2 years ago. And I went, and I swear, water come on me. Yay. I was so happy. It was Aki. I picked some, I think the other day, I cooked some, and I'm vegetarian, and I went and I got some salt fish. I said, no, for this day, me need to have the full dish. I had myself a nice ackee and saltfish with breadfruit. And you know what is funny here in French Guiana, they do not respect the breadfruit. It angers me. The breadfruit is wasted. They give it to pigs and to dogs. And I was like, what? So breadfruit is here in abundance. And now I have discovered I'm talking as though I'm Christopher Columbus, but the Aqui Tree is here, and I've enjoyed it. I've had the opportunity to enjoy it, and I have planted it, and I'm trying to see how well it will grow. It is growing, and I'm hoping it will get to the point where I can transplant it and do my thing, repot it, and get a nice full Aqui Tree out of it, and enjoy my Aqui.
Old wives' tale, which I never believed. We had an Aqui tree that wouldn't grow.
Mm-hmm.
We had it there, must say, quite a few years, maybe over 10 years, wouldn't move. And
Give me the secret.
Lady said to me, she said, you talk to the tree and threaten it. And we went out and talked to the tree and threatened the tree. My wife even broke a branch off of the tree. And guess what? Within a couple months, the tree push out Aqui.
Well, you know what? At this point, it's just a baby, so I don't want to abuse the baby yet. When we get a little teenager, maybe I'll try a thing. But I'll keep that in mind. I thought we were supposed to be kind to plants. I always heard that plants could reacted based on how we spoke to them. But I always heard we should feed them with, nurturing words. But that doesn't sound like nurturing at all. That sounds like abuse. I'll wait until later down. But there are lots of things I miss. I miss my banana chips. I miss patty.
Chippies.
I've tried so many times. Chippies. But there's also a banana. Let me tell you, there's a brand. I don't even know if it still exists. It's called Maroon Pride. Maroon Pride. Hands down the best banana chips I've ever had in my life. But Chippies is a close second. Maroon Pride is very hard to find. You have to come from
never had it. Never had it.
You have to go Mobile country. James country, to find Maroon Pride. But Chippies, and I miss a patty, like I've cried tears for patty. I think that's the number one thing. I miss patty, probably like a bun. And you know what is funny? My mother sent me some tasty cheese in the tin. And everybody who saw it here in French Guiana laughed at me because France is known for its cheese. There are different varieties of cheese. So when you come with your cheese now in a tin, everybody was looking at me like, what is that? What kind of industrial something this? No, you sure you're not gonna sick? I was like, no, but this for us is the norm. So they had a whale of a time making fun of me. I wasn't embarrassed though. I enjoyed my tasty cheese. This was a couple years ago, and I never shame. I eat my cheese on my bun. I'm gonna go on my way.
What do people think of Jamaicans there? What's their impression?
Jamaica is a loved country, and Jamaicans are loved people. The moment I say I'm Jamaican, the reaction is usually, oh my God, are you from Kingston, or do you know Bob Marley? He's dead. Do you know Usain? I know of him, never met him in person. So those are the questions I get. Are you the only one here? Oh, I've never seen a Jamaican passport. But I can feel it, I can sense it when I listen to their music. Now, here in French Guiana, they have their version of French reggae and French dancehall. And the first time I heard it, I was convinced I was listening to a Jamaican artist. It was only when I listened and realized I didn't understand the lyrics, I was like, hold up, what am I listening to? It is the exact thing. Apart from the language, the music, everything, the beat, the vibe. I feel like I'm listening to our music. They have copied it to the letter. It is so impressive. The reggae, the dancehall. I've gone to a lot of workshops where they've done dancehall classes. And I've seen some people, I was like, but them dance better, but I can't dance. So you can imagine I was embarrassed. And automatically people say, yeah, Jamaican, do your thing. And I'm like, So they have really embraced our culture and taken it for themselves. I have never seen anything like it. And I have never seen anything like it, but it's quite impressive to see and to experience.
Wow, that is good to know. That's good to know. And so speaking of culture and also music and so on, I understand that there is a carnival there in
There
French
is
Guiana.
a carnival, unlike anyone from Jamaica has ever seen. I think Jamaicans, we're in this little bubble, and so we have seen probably carnival in Trinidad. We have seen our carnival. We've seen what they do in for crop over in Barbados. You might maybe the London Carnival, or maybe if you've gone to New Orleans. But what is here in French Guiana is the only carnival of its kind. I have never seen anything like it. And it was quite an experience. The first time I came, first of all, carnival is the most important thing to French Guyanese people. It's not Christmas. Christmas is dead. New Year's dead. At any other holiday, dead. But carnival, everything annually is in preparation for carnival. Decorations are put up for carnival. Everything is for carnival. And it's very it's something you have to learn. You cannot just come in and say, boy, I gotta fling up my foot and dance. Everything is very specific. You really do have to learn the culture behind it. Now, there are two things. I'll tell you very quickly. There is what they call Tululu and Tololo. But before we get into Tululu and Tololo, let's talk about the music. So you know how we have our soca and what else we have again? Our soca and our Lord of His mercy. But this is what happens when you get gone from here too long. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean music.
Anyway, here they have two styles of carnival music. You have mazurka and begin, and the dance moves are very, very specific. You have to learn them. Why? If you do go to what is called a dancing, so like what they call a university, these are the official dance halls for these carnival settings. If you go in and attempt to do something else, the band will stop. The band will stop, and
Wait a minute, stop.
they will
Stop
take
playing music.
them stop playing the music and I'm taking it off of the floor. Because the thing is, it's a live musical event. This is, imagine you have the same bands playing week after week for 2 months, live music, singing non-stop. And this is from normally, let's say, 8 p.m. until sometimes 5 a.m. Some songs are like 5 minutes, 7 minutes long. And you cannot stop midway a song. You cannot stop dancing. You have to go to the end of the song. So let me tell you what happens now. You have what is called Tululu and Tololo. So Tululu is for the women and Tololo is for the men. What happens is the woman is disguised. So the Tululu is disguised from head to toe. Everything. Mask, gloves. Some people go as far as putting in contacts. The only thing we can see on you would be eyes. That's it. And so everything is disguised. Everything is covered. And you go to these events. And what happens is the men wait on the sidelines, and the Tululu invites the man to dance. The man cannot dance unless he is invited. So you
By
cannot,
by
So some
by
men will
a
pay the
woman.
money and not dance. By a tululu, because sometimes you don't know who is this guy is in this day and age. It can be anybody, but it's usually a woman. And so what happens is some men will pay their money and they will never dance for the entire night because nobody has invited them to dance. So once you get on the dance floor, you listen to the music that the band is playing, whether it is mazurka or begin. You dance based on the specific dance moves, and you dance for the entire song. There's a part in the song called PK Juke. You can imagine what that is. There's at least one word in there that we can understand, the juke. But it is not, it's when I say it's very coordinated, it's a very specific dance movement. So you have to learn. You can't go in there and say, boy, I gotta broke it up, broke it down, turn up, spin whip on my head. No, it's really specific. Tololo now is the other thing, is the other way around where the men are disguised. And that this is recent. Tololo is recent because the men thought it was unfair. So they got their thing recently, probably in the last 10 years or so. And so the men are disguised and the women wait on the sidelines and have to wait patiently until they're invited to dance. And it is a sight to behold because these costumes are not fancy. They look like these old Victorian dresses. You look like a cross between a nun and a queen. I don't know how
Are they colorful? Are they colorful costumes?
colorful costumes. But the whole carnival thing is so interesting to observe because even to start the carnival, they have a carnival king that's selected, and his name is Vaval, and the costume changes every year. And so he chooses a queen who also has a costume, and those two reign for the carnival period. And then after the carnival period, Vaval is burned. It's a whole. I've never seen anything like it. I went to one Tululu event when I first came here, and I don't think I'd ever do it again. But it was. I went home soaking wet, tired, and it was just something I have never experienced anything else like it.
So let me ask you this. This is not in the streets now. This is at a location where they do their celebration.
Well, the Tololo and Tololo events happen once per week, and these are at specific locations. But they do have their regular marching bands every Sunday. Every Sunday for for the 2 months or so. And that is a whole other thing because you have what is called the red wedding towards the end, where everybody is dressed in red. And then you have what is called no, is that the red wedding? No, you have what is called the wedding, where the men are disguised as women and they wear wedding gowns. And it's a whole look here. You have to come.
Men,
You have to come.
wait. Men are disguised as women wearing
As
wedding dresses.
yes, you heard me right. And the men
Okay.
and the women are disguised as men in their suits.
This
So
sounds like a different type of carnival to me.
it's a different type of carnival, and it's the most important event for them. Most important
And when does it happen?
event. Normally February, so right after Epiphany, is it? So February and March, normally thereabout. It all depends on when Easter falls and how that whole season works out. But it's normally February, March, thereabout. But there's so many other interesting things to see. I mean, we would have to talk for a good 2 hours for me to tell you everything. If you've heard of, for example, the movie Papillon, which is based on the Salvation Islands, which was a penitentiary island they used to send all the criminals there. It's right here in French Guiana. It's a nice boat ride out. You have 3 islands. So there are very notable areas here. You have areas such as Marais du Corps, which is almost like a Crocodile Dundee experience. You go out on a boat, you're catching crocodiles and observing them. And there's so many things to do. So many things to do. You have to come and experience it for yourself.
So what would you say apart from the heat? Because you seem well adjusted there. But
even though I have to sweating right now, Lord have mercy.
What was the most difficult adjustment for you when you moved there?
I think pace. The pace is a lot slower compared to Jamaica. For example, at midday almost everything is closed, from other than large supermarkets, but everything else is closed. Business entities are closed, and you're thinking, but how can you close? This is when you're supposed to be open, so when people leave work, they can get stuff done. But lunchtime is so important to them that at midday everything is closed, and you have to wait for a good 2-3 hours before things reopen, or entities or business places reopen. The pace is very slow. I have been invited to people's lunch parties and so on, or even on regular Sunday dinner, and I remember being panicky because I'm thinking, crap, I need to go wash my clothes. This is the day I do laundry. This is the day I do my housework. This is the day I plan for the week. But everybody just sitting there lounging at the dinner table for the entire day, and I was like, what's going on? So the pace was really difficult to adjust to. I don't think I've ever, and I don't think I will ever, because the Jamaican in me just cannot.
But we love soon come too. We just soon come, you know. You're saying this is soon come to the extreme.
Exactly. They have taken Irie to the extreme. We put it like that. And I think the language was not French necessarily, but the other languages, being compounded with all of these different languages. That was pretty difficult to adjust to, because you automatically assumed, okay, if I master French, I'll be able to manage anything and anybody. But you encounter somebody who speaks Portuguese, and that person doesn't speak French. You realize, oh Lord, now I need to learn another language. So that was definitely one thing I had to adjust to, and I'm still adjusting.
So you talked about the 2-hour closure, maybe sometimes 3-hour closure in a day. So that sounds like a merging of cultures, because I know in some Latin American countries there is it siesta in the middle of the day, or what?
Well, you see, this is how language is so interesting, because you said siesta, and in French it's called sieste. So nap time is very important. And I'm like, are you guys children? What's going on? But you come to appreciate it in a sense, because you're like, we come from a culture where we were told, if you want good, your nose have to run. And it's like, if you want good, you have to suffer. You have to overwork. You always have to go above and beyond. And they're like, maybe you don't have to go above and beyond. You can just do what is enough, get to the limit. You don't have to go beyond the limit. And so I can appreciate where that is coming from, because I think as Jamaicans we can benefit from that as well. Get a little rest about a little, but
I've gotten used to it.
Too far.
So I've gotten used to
it. No, I haven't gotten used to it, but I understand the thinking behind it.
Okay.
Yeah, it will take some deconstruction of my Jamaican, ness for me to really embrace it.
What, on a serious note, what's cost of living like in French Guiana?
Compared to Jamaica, I wouldn't. Well, it depends. Compared to Jamaica, I wouldn't say it's very high. But people from France, metropolitan France, who come here, because French Guiana is an overseas department of France. So when people from metropolitan France come here, they're very surprised, because things are sometimes 3 times more expensive here than in France. So if we want to compare it in that light,
wait. 3 times more expensive than France?
Yes, I kid you not. Things here are, because they're importing everything. So things here are 3 times more expensive. A house is more expensive. A car is more expensive. Food is more expensive compared to metropolitan France. And let me give you an example. Even something as simple as a plane ticket. It's cheaper for you to get a plane ticket from metropolitan France, from Paris to French Guiana, than for you to get a ticket from French Guiana to Paris. You can get a ticket, for example, at 400 euros to come from Paris, to travel from Paris to French Guiana, whereas a ticket from French Guiana to Paris would be 800, unless you're having some promotion or something of the sort. But it's the difference is really, it stares you right in the face. And that's quite unfortunate. That's definitely one thing. But compared to Jamaica, I would not say the cost of living is high.
Okay. So what advice, if a Jamaican or anybody was thinking of moving there, what advice would you give them?
Be open-minded. be adventurous, because you don't know where you'll end up. Like I said, I ended up in Grand Santi, a, a place back a garden, but I had a wonderful experience. So you have to be open-minded. You have to love adventure. You have to love nature, because whether you live in the city, I live in the city, and every 2 months or so, I have tarantulas who, that appear in my bathroom or in my living
Wait,
room.
wait, wait, wait. The big.
Yes, yes. You might come upon snakes, or there's so many different. I wouldn't even talk about that. The diversity in terms of flora and fauna. Like, I've come across so many sloths, so many
Wait,
monkeys.
you're talking the slots that are in the tree, right?
Yes, but sometimes
Them
they
big
cross the
things.
street. Sometimes you see them crossing the street or crossing the electrical wires. So you just have to be very open to what the country has to offer. Because if I came here with a closed mind, I think I would have gone back home. And I've seen many people who have come here who have gone back on the first flight out because they weren't ready. The heat, the mosquitoes, the cultural differences, the language. It's a lot. You can be bombarded by it, but you just have to be open-minded. And everything, you have to view it as an adventure. If you're ready for an adventure, then welcome.
So, I have to ask a question because I know we afraid of lizards.
Why? Let
And
me tell you, Lord have mercy. I have accepted them because I have so many. Like, I know their schedule. Like, in my kitchen, just about 6 o'clock. Like, when they come at 5:30, I run them. I say, no, too early, no, too early. 6:30, 6:30, they're about 7. I have my little lizard friends, and they come in. I have to make sure I wash all my dishes. Once I even filmed one once. The thing was, they're drinking my soy milk. I had a box. You try to get down to the last dregs, the last drop, and you cut the side of the box. And I left the open box there. It was finished. So I was going to throw it out. And I saw the lizard there licking away at the side of the box. And I was like, when since lizard, them no man, either them and lizard are spoiled. Because this lizard was drinking soy milk. Soy milk. You didn't know the lizard drink soy milk. So I have accepted them as my I don't even know what to call them, roommates. I'm not paying rent, I can't call them my tenants. Them come and them go as them please. And I've had to get used to it. I've had to get used to it. I cannot imagine my mother being here though. She would have a heart attack and she would die.
my mother is the same thing. I can't imagine the littlest lizard, and yeah, the world is ending.
I'm at the point now where I'm trying to touch them, and I'm curious to see if I'd be
What?
able to
What?
keep on as a pet. I'm at that point. You can imagine. When I say you have to be open-minded, man. You have to be open-minded. I'm at that point. My mommy said, "Man, no, find somebody. Get an exterminator." I said, "Mommy, we're in their territory. We're in their territory. This is not like Jamaica where we have cow and dog, stray cow and dog. I have stray lizards, stray spiders, stray snakes, stray sloths. We're in their territory, so have to
Well,
accept it."
Kenise, listen, thank you very much for sharing your story with us
Thank
and
you so much
giving
for
us
having me.
a taste.
Mhm.
Here is how I typically end.
Lord have mercy.
No, it's not a question. I need to
Okay.
know. I need to know how to say goodbye in the French Guiana Creole.
Oh my gosh. How do we say goodbye in French Guyanese Creole? Oh la la.
Is it ooh la la?
No, no. I don't even remember. And that's a shame. Is it Mocha Party? Mocha Party. I don't even remember. I'm going to. I hope nobody from French Guiana sees this interview because they're going to stone me for it. But I'll give you another expression. If you want to say I speak Creole, you say Mocha parle Creole.
Mocha pie Creole.
Mocha parle Creole.
Okay, so how do I say I don't speak Creole?
Bon, we'll end the interview here because I don't. I don't even know. Is it no? Is that it? Mocha parle Creole. Mopaka, well, I don't know. I don't know.
But you
Please,
saw.
Lord, don't let anybody see this interview who's going to stone me for it.
All right. Well, we
Mocha
will
Pale
do
Creole. Fake it
Muka
till you make it.
Paikro.
Fake it till you make it.
Kenny's, thank you very much again. And we will
Thank you
catch
for
up.
having me.
Show some love now. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss a video.